Alright, game 6 of day 2. Now, normally this would be the last game I'd have to play in a tournament, so I was really feeling the mental and physical strain from the 5 previous battles. So it didn't really help me when I found out that I was playing another fee-causing army. This time it was Tomb Kings. Now, historically, I've always seemed to have a hard time against them, not just in tournament games, but in social games too. My mate Matt, who I formed a rivalry against, he's a pretty good Tomb Kings general. And while I've been doing a lot better against him in recent times, he still has the leg up on me in terms of a win-loss record. I did play Matt once in a tournament scene, and that was back in March 2009. We actually faced each other in Emperor's Legion, and funny enough, that was the only game I lost in that tournament, which was I lost the game 13-7. So anyway, back to this game. So he's got 2 units of 4 chariots, a unit of 20 Tomb Guard with the Banner of Undying Legion, a unit of 30 archers, 2 scorpions, 1 swarm unit, Bone Giant, the Skull Catapult, a unit of about 4 or 5 carrion, can't exactly remember. In terms of heroes, he had a Tomb King and the Prince both with great weapons, Lich Priest and the Hierophant. Can't remember the magic items he had, but the Hierophant definitely had the Heretic Jar. Okay, here's a picture of my deployment. Enjoy it, because this will be the last time you see this much models on my side of the table for this game. Had a feeling he would tunnel, if not 1, then maybe 2 of the Scorpions, probably target the Doom Diver. So with this in mind, I've deployed my Doom Diver on the left corner of the table, in the hope of scattering the Scorpion off the table. He's also tunneled the Tomb Swarm just behind the bolt thrower there. So on his first turn, he's magically shot his catapult onto the BSB's unit. Killed a couple of boys after the shot fell just short. But when it came for my panic test, yep, you guessed it, I rolled an 11. So not even the presence of the Black Orc War Boss would have kept them there, and they were gone off the table. Then on his shooting phase, he's targeted the other unit of Orc Boys, scoring a direct hit. Killing about 4 or 5 of them. And then with the panic test, yep, you guessed it, 11 again, and off they went. So even if I had the wall boss close by, it wouldn't have made any difference at all. A roll of 11 will always fail for panic tests. So before I even got a chance to roll animosity for these orc units, they were gone. So with the game pretty much gone before it even started, I've decided that going very aggressive was the only way to go, and that I was going to go out with a bang. I've just moved everything towards the Undead Horde with reckless abandon, really. And the Doom Diver managed to take out 1 chariot on the left flank, while the bolt throwers, who had no other target apart from the archers on the hill, they only killed 1. On his next turn, he's charged the 3 chariots on the left flank into the Wolf Riders. They fled, and he redirected them onto my Savage Orc War Boys. Now, I thought I'd position them just out of their charge range, but to my dismay, the Savage Orc War Boys were just in. So in he went, did quite a few impact hits, but the Savage Orc War Boys 6+ ward save came in very handy, and he only came away with 1 kill, including the riders and the mount attacks. Now in return, I rolled pretty well when it came to hit and to wound, and he worked it out, and actually did win combat, and it was enough for them to crumble, even though he charged. It took me about 3 turns to move the Wyvern into a position to charge his catapult, and thankfully during those turns he avoided getting smacked in the face with the catapult and managed to live. He rolled for his Scorpion and swarmed to tunnel out the ground. The Scorpion, which was right on top of the Doom Diver, did scatter, directed towards the left edge of the table, but he only rolled a 2 to see how far he would go. So he was still on the table, and he charged the Doom Diver that turn, so the Swarm popped out as well, and it took care of the other 2 bolt throwers. And I've continued my aggressive play by getting the Giant and the Savage Orc War Boys into the Archer unit, which was being used as a bunker for his King and Prince. Attacked with the Savage Orc War Boys. Unfortunately, I could only get 4 into combat. Did cause quite a few kills. Then when it came to the Giant, I rolled a 1, which is Yell and Ball. Probably the best result for me, because it meant that his King and Prince wouldn't attack, and he lost another 2 skellies. Meanwhile, the Goblin Big Boss is charged out of the Squig Herd unit and into the 4 chariots, and using my Walloper's one-hit wonder, which gives him strength 10 for 1 round. He smashed apart 2 chariots, crumbling the unit and overrunning towards the right side of the table. My turn 4, finally charging the wyvern onto the catapult, easily wiping them out. Tries to overrun in the attempt to get into the bone giant's flank. Rolled a decent 13, but it was just short. And that would have been nice as I had Shaggy's Screaming Sword and his characters were still within that 12-inch bubble. Round 2 of the Giant and the Savage Orc Ball Boys versus the King and the Prince. My Savage Orc Ball Boys attacked first, killing fewer of the Skellies, and because of the characters had great weapons, that meant my Giant was going to attack first, and rolled yet another yellow ball. Then on his turn, he's turned the Tomb Guard towards the Savage Orc Ball Boys, and made the move in the magic phase. With only 3 Dispel dice remaining and my scrolls gone, there wasn't much I could do about it. Couldn't get another yellow ball with a Giant. Instead, he's decided to pick up a model, stuff it into his pants, picked up another model and ate it. So the King and Prince finally got a chance to attack the Giant, and luckily I only copped 2 wounds. Though he did easily win combat with the Savage Orc Ball Boys fleeing, but the Giant stuck around. On my turn, I've simply moved the Goblin Big Boss back towards the Night Goblin unit, which was more than happy with where they were. I've moved the Wyvern facing towards the Archer unit with the King and Prince getting ready to flank it. And with the Giant's combat again, he swung with his club this time, knocking off quite a few Skellies. Copped another 2 wounds from the King and Prince, and once again the Giant stayed in combat. So the Giant had 4 wounds and 2 wounds left. Let's just fast forward just a little bit, and I finally got the Wyvern into the flank, and I've offered a challenge with the Wall Boss, and he's accepted with his King. I fluffed my rolls, leaving him with only 1 wound left. So I only did like 3 wounds on the King. The King fought back and left the Wall Boss with only 1 wound left also. The Giant swung with his club again, killing more Skellies, but his Prince finally felled the Giant. Oddly enough, I did win the combat, and that was enough to crumble the rest of the archers along with the Prince. He's charged his Skelly warriors onto the flank of the Wyvern to get all the static combat res, so things were working to his favour. And it was just down to the Black Orc War Boss and the King in their challenge. So, I finally killed the King, but when it came to the curse, yep, you guessed it again, rolled 11 for my leadership test. And then he rolled a 6 to see how many wounds I would cop, and that was enough to kill the War Boss on top. Failed the leadership test for the Wyvern, then rolled a 6 from the monster reaction chart, which is frenzy and hatred for the remainder of the game. But because of the Skelly warriors on the Wyvern's flank, it did break from combat, and I couldn't rally it in the end. Now, because he placed his Hierophant out of the Skelly warrior unit and out in the open, I've decided to charge it with my Goblin Big Boss. And surprise, surprise, I actually managed to pass my leadership test and killed it outright. So in the end, the Goblin Big Boss did quite a few damage. Working out the points in the end, I still lost this game 13-7. I think I did reasonably well to get the 7 points, considering this game should have been a 20-0 shellacking. Losing the 2 Orc units and the battle standard so early was just so... yeah, that was just bad luck. But I'm very happy with that result, regardless. I like to say that I hope I don't come up against another fear-causing army, but every time I say that, I come up against one. So this time I'll simply say, till next time.